You're such an asshole.
All right. Interesting question. Hello, sir. Thank you for all the advice and entertainment you have provided us over the years. Today, I have a question that I'd like to get your perspective on. I have been reading the book Lifespan by Dr. David Sinclair. He is the head of Harvard University's genetics lab. In the book, he tells about different therapies and practices to help extend one's lifespan and to lead a healthy life throughout that time, such as intermittent fasting, exercise, cryotherapy, along with several supplements and other practices. I wouldn't mind reading that. That and Dennis Pagan. You guys should all be reading his books and doing what's in them. In addition, Chris Hemsworth has a show on Disney Plus where he is trying out these ideas, which has been interesting to see. I apologize for the long setup, but my question is if these things work and our technology improves, what do you think the world would be like if we could live to 120 or 150 years or longer? And how would we prepare for it? Or should we prepare for it? It should be fun to see you take on this in a video and what I may not have thought of. Merry Christmas and happy one corner Hanukkah. Chris, all right. It took my brain a quarter of a second to realize this would be a horrible idea. Assuming it would be Americans and Westerners. I don't know about other cultures. Maybe other cultures have their heads out of their asses. But all I see, look at the current people you're surrounded with, right? All right. We got technology that has made life on easy mode for everybody. But people are so soft to weak, they can't even do life on easy mode that they still need government bailouts. They got to make out government or make up made up mental illnesses they don't have. Oh, I got that. Like they really can't even handle life on this easy mode where all you got to do is work about 20 to 30 hours a week. You really could. It won't be rich, but you could get by doing that. And then go and look at what most Americans do with the free time, this one short life they got on their planet. And the average American eats, gets fat, watches television, jerks off to prawn, or girls watch the Hallmark shows, go into debt, scream on the internet, ignore family and loved ones, don't have any loved ones, and more or less grow old and alone, either because people aren't getting married and forming families, they have no families, or because they get married, but they do the boomer divorce Olympics and they got no one there. And all you're doing is doubling or tripling the amount of time these people are going to be alive to suffer in their misery. That's all I see. I don't see people like go back to the day when your life expectancy was 60. Like we as humans kind of like, oh, we gotta get working. Like you could work at 12, 13, 14. A lot of kids did back in the day. And then you'd work till you were dead. And it seems to me that with the increase in life expectancy that current technology has allowed us to have, we don't use that time to be productive or live our lives usefully or productively or happily or in any kind of utility, any kind of practical sense, or any kind of useful or enjoyable sense. We just perpetuate the amount of laziness. So now the average kid is not expected to support himself until about 25, 26, your mid 20s. Hell, most 30 somethings are still living at home, aren't they? Or living off of a parent's subsidy, or they need the government. And my point is that with our increased life expectancy, all we did was perpetuate childhood independency and parasitism longer. And right now, especially with retirement at 65, we really only work 40 hours. I'm sorry, 40 years of your life. And you're not even working every day, and you're just working 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And that is supposed to support you for another 40 years. So think about, right? You don't really work until you're 25, right? Because you got to get a master's degree. And most people really aren't making any money until that point in time anyway. You do 40 years, and then at 65, you retire, and you live the next 20 years until you're dead. So you have to work up enough production in 40 years to pay for 80. See what I'm saying? Otherwise, you're net economic parasite. And the truth is, like 80% of Americans are net economic parasites. They don't come anywhere near producing the amount of money they need to support themselves. They always need some kind of government subsidy, either through I'm talking like the roads and defense. Like you got to be making about $150,000 before you actually start paying the taxes that you consume in terms of roads and defense and judicial systems and cops and things like that. All right, so most Americans are net economic parasites, and you want to keep them alive longer? Let me guess. What do you think the boomers would do? You think, oh well, we're going to live to 150. We better increase the retirement age to 135. Hell no. They're gonna retire early if they can. They'll say, oh no, we can't increase the retirement age. So all I see is a bunch of old people who make it to the magic age of 65 and they're not working for the next 90, 80 years. And then now, not only it's not working 40 years to live 80, it's you work 40 years to pay for yourself and all the other people that are parasite off it being old. And so what I see is just more of current American misery. I see more television. I see more and that's another thing. Are we going to be able, like, as a 75-year-old, which would be middle-aged, right? That'd be about 40. Would a 75-year-old look like a 40-year-old does today? Like they'd be in shape reasonably so? Maybe a touch of gray? Like, would we still want to bang women who are in their 80s and 90s? Would they still look attractive? Probably not. I'm going to imagine. I imagine fine, you would extend people's lives, but you're not going to make them look hotter. So then I fear just how physically ugly are these people going to get at 150 years old? No fault of their own. But this is not like, oh, cool, I got a sex life of 120 years, man. She's going to be hot well into her 110s. No. If again, the people of Walmart, Americans or anything, you're going to look ugly at about 25 when you start getting fat. Like you don't have your youth anymore to rely upon. Guys are playing video games, jerking off to the prawn. Girls are just getting fat, eating their food, doing whatever it is. They dye their hair and do the thing with the makeup. And so from 25, so 125 years, from 25 to 150, you're just going to get fatter and uglier and wrinklier. That is going to be an eyesore. That is going to be the world's look. That is going to be the ugliest architecture and art it would be a blight upon the public. You thought the people in Walmart were bad. And then again, are we going to have people work until they're 135? You're going to have to, but I know Americans like, wait a minute. You think there's a way to do some magic stuff at the Federal Reserve where they print the money, but then they buy some bonds from the federal government? That's not inflation. Isn't there a way we print off money, but it doesn't go into the economy? It just goes to recapitalize the bank. That won't cause inflation, especially if we lower the reserve requirement ratio to 0. Americans are always looking for a way to not work. And that's my main point. It wouldn't be economically feasible. Americans are lazy parasites. They don't want to work, and they'd find some kind of way. And the Democrat Party would indulge them, and they'd vote in the what? I don't have to work for 100 years. I only have to work 50. Okay. Where's the food? So I don't care what the technology is. We would immediately not be able to support ourselves. We wouldn't. The first generation making 150, they get all the money, and then everyone else would die because we wouldn't be making the food anymore. And so I don't care what gene therapy or this or that, but you would have to have people work until 135 to support themselves, to make the food, to feed them and house them for all that time. You would talk about overpopulation. Holy cow. You think housing prices are high now? Unless, again, are they going to work and build houses for 135 years? If you're working for the majority of your life, producing the goods and services your generation is going to consume, okay, fine. But I know Americans, they want their free gimme that's, they want their they line up at that stupid Black Friday sale. Oh God, could you imagine the Medicare and the Medicaid bills? What government health insurance would cost? No. Thank God they die at 80. No way you want people living to 150 years old. And that would be two things that have to be required. You have to eliminate the welfare state, all right? You'd have to kick the retirement age up to at least 135. And then you'd have to guarantee me that these people would just look younger and hotter as they got, into their older age. That their aging would be a similar trend. So, if you're in your younger third, you're probably prime. If you're square middle, you're still bangable but hot. You can pull off the MILF thing or whatever, the silver fox. And then like the future 150-year-old looks like today's current 85-year-old. Okay, then I could see, because then you'd have men incentivized to actually want to go and produce for decades upon decades of time, because there's hot chicks and there's sex involved. But if people start looking old like they do now and in their 50s, no, it's no, no. Bad idea. Bad idea. So there you guys go. All right. Let's go through the super chats if there are any. Alex Patino, our truck driving Latino, and then, yeah, Atham, 120 years old. He would live that long. Yeah, well, man, look at all the Latinos here. Holy cow, what's going on? 110 dating 20-year-olds. I know all the girls that get pissed off that there be this 110-year-old man who's rich but looks like he's the silver fox 57-year-old. At 100, women would bore us. At 100, try 30. Try 30. Let me scroll down. Any super chats? That's it. There you guys go. All right. See you guys later. Toodles.